So I'm going to do some brief instruction and I'm going to go really fast because this is a review of something that we have covered before if you've already taken my class previously. So you can find this presentation that I'm going to use in the video through this link right here. And if you are working out of Canvas, then this is going to be in your modules. Your module might look just a little bit different, but you will always see links and resources. And so if you see chapter links and resources, that is how you can find your own copy of the presentations. So I'm going to actually do this in 2 videos to keep it kind of short. This whole thing's going to be less than 10 minutes combined. So let's go. So I'm going to go ahead and do the slideshow. So we're going to cover the safe food handler, which is just a basic review of contaminants and types of contamination. And then we're going to review hand washing and glove use. So basically, anybody that handles food really has to have good personal hygiene, making sure that they are properly washing their hands and wearing proper clothing. Vocabulary, if you are struggling with any of this vocabulary, all of it could be on the quiz. And you will find the vocabulary in both English and Spanish, both in activities in class and at the end of this presentation. So foodborne illness, that is when we transfer pathogens to people through food. It is almost always preventable. It can come from the environment, so air, water, soils, animals, dirty surfaces, and it can also come from not handling food properly. So the 3 types of contamination that happens to food are biological, chemical, and physical. So we're talking about biological. These are your pathogens. These are what we refer to as germs. So some of them are harmless, but some of them can make you sick. So it's having the right bacteria present, but nobody wants to eat bacteria even if it isn't the kind that makes you sick. So we always just try to prevent any type of pathogen spread. So bacteria is just one of them. Viruses, which always come from people. Parasites, which are like worms and like tapeworm and roundworm and those kind of things. And then fungi, yeast and molds. So not all of yeast and not all of molds can make you sick, but some of them can. And we really try to make sure that we're not serving and preparing food. So when we talk about the food that is most likely to become unsafe, TCS foods, these are temperature controlled substances. This is food that we have to make sure that we are following proper procedures so that they don't make people sick. So when we talk about this, we're also talking about perishable. So yeah, you've heard the term perishable. Perishable means food will spoil quickly. Usually we keep these items in the refrigerator. The number 1 food most likely to make you sick are protein food items. Milk, dairy, meats, cooked starches like potatoes and pastas are also on that list, and cut fruits and vegetables. Tofu and other soy proteins also count with that. So if you slice a fruit or vegetable, it needs to be wrapped and put in the refrigerator. It'll go bad faster. Think of an apple. You can have a whole apple, skin intact, on a bowl on the counter, and it's okay. Wash it before you eat it. But if you cut that apple, it's going to go bad a lot faster. Eggs are on that protein list, poultry, shellfish and fish, anything that's been cooked like beans, rice, and vegetables. These things need to be in the refrigerator, and make sure that you're following time and temperature procedures. Also, if you put garlic and oil mixtures, just keep that in the fridge. Don't use it after so long, and sprouts and sprout seeds. The second type of contamination are chemical hazards, cleaners, sanitizers, polishes. Not all of them can kill you. Some of them can. It can make people really sick. So really careful. Make sure that you are not mixing any type of chemical ever. Make sure that you are rinsing very well and that you're not overusing. That's what's really important. Like a lot of people put a little bit of bleach into their dishwater when they're hand washing dishes. It's not necessary in our country with our treated water. We don't have parasites in our city water. We don't get well water. And so we really don't need to. But if you do, make sure that you're using just a tiny amount because you can overdo it. Same thing with soap. You don't want to overuse it. Use the proper amount. Physical hazards have two different types. There are natural ones. So these are parts of food that are naturally found there, like a fruit pit or a fish bone or something like that, a little cartilage. You may not want to eat it. It might make you sick if you eat it. It could cause a choking hazard, but ultimately it's probably going to be okay. It's just kind of gross. You just don't want to bite into that. Now, accident or neglect, that is physical things that you can see and touch that are not part of the natural food. Metal shavings off a can, which is what you see here in this photo, staples off a box, dirt, glass, hair. These are things that are accident and neglect. People are just not paying attention. Bandages, jewelry, an earbud that falls out of your ear. Some operations make sure they use bright blue bandages so that they're easy to see in food, or blue gloves if you accidentally cut a part of a glove off. And some people do not allow earbud use for the fact that it could fall into the food. Now, this item itself is a physical contaminant. If there are pathogens on the bandage or on the earbud, then those are a separate contaminant. So this can actually become two types of contaminants. You can have both biological and physical. The physical is the actual Band-Aid. The biological is whatever pathogen might be on the Band-Aid. So just to wrap it up, poor personal hygiene, time and temperature abuse, cross-contamination, poor cleaning and sanitizing. Pathogens come from the people. They come generally from your hands. This is the number one way we spread foodborne illness. It's generally not even from the meat or whatever people are worried about. It's from your hands, from touching all of the things that you touch. Time and temperature abuse. So if the pathogens are present and the food is out at room temperature for too long, it'll make people sick. Cross-contamination is when we have a clean surface or a clean food item and we bring pathogens from somewhere else. If your chicken is thawing on the top shelf of your refrigerator and it leaks juice all over your refrigerator because it wasn't thawing properly and it wasn't in a pan or in a bag or in a drawer or in the bottom, then you've caused cross-contamination of things that weren't already contaminated. And also poor cleaning and sanitizing. So if you're not cleaning your station, your area, your surface, your utensils in between use, before we prepare food for other people, we always wash whatever pan, whatever item we're using. You don't know who touched it last. You don't know how they handled it. We always wash things before we prepare food for other people's surfaces. We call that Airbnb rules. If I go to an Airbnb and I cook, things look clean. I don't know who cleaned it first. I'm going to wash it before I use it. So make sure that we have good hygiene, control the temperature of food, prevent cross-contamination, and make sure we clean properly. The next video is going to cover how to wash your hands properly.